meeting. Before we begin the public comment session, which will be the first portion of the meeting, I want to clarify some refinements in our process. I was about ready to say that based on the number of people who turned out at the last meeting, that I was going to have people come up to the podium in line, one after the other, to speak. But we have a much smaller number today than we did the last meeting, so it depends on that point. And those that are here will each have 2 minutes rather than 1 minute, because again, these are smaller numbers. The bell will be rung at the end of your speaking time. I ask each of the persons who speak to us to respect the speaker following you and seek the microphone at that time. I also want to emphasize that written comments carry the same weight as oral comments provided at the commission meetings on public participation hearings. In fact, written comments can be more effective if there's a page limit. You can get in all the facts or details or points you want to convey to the commission, and to all of us up here. Written comments are circulated to the commissioners, executive director, and assigned administrative law judge's office for review. I also like to acknowledge that the commission received quite a few written comments on smart meters since our last meeting on March 24th. Those comments have been circulated and are currently being circulated amongst us decision makers. Also, I want to make sure everyone is clear on our speakers sign-up process. Speakers who sign up before the start of the meeting, this meeting begins at 9 a.m., will be given 2 minutes today to speak, and that's a function of the number of speakers. Once those speakers are finished, it'll be the end of the regular public speaking session. However, I will provide an opportunity for speakers who signed up late to speak at a maximum of 1 minute. The late speakers want to sign up after the start of the meeting, but before the end of the public speaking session. No speakers will be signed up once the regular public speaking session is closed. Again, I appreciate your cooperation, everyone in this regard. I also want to point out that we adopted in early 2010, it's on our website, a resolution regarding rules for public comment at business meetings. It runs 3 pages long, or 5 pages long. And I just want to point out, because we have been very liberal in this regard here, that Rule 8B provides that speakers may only speak on a specific agenda item once and may not repeat comments at subsequent meetings. I've been liberal in that interpretation. I will be again today. But we do have to have some rules and some decorum here going forward, and I hope that people who feel what we do is important to them and take the time to come here also understand the need to be appreciative of us as a functioning body, and that has to get its work done. So with that, we'll go to the public speakers. Each has 2 minutes. The first is Cheryl Lloyd.
Thank you. In 1962, Malvina Reynolds originally wrote a song that was part of the campaign to stop and go around nuclear testing. I'm going to sing that song for all the children of the world in support of closing the Diablo facility. Just a little rain falling all around, the grass lifts its head to the heavenly sound. Just a little rain, just a little rain. What have they done to the rain? Just a little boy standing in the rain, the gentle rain that falls for years, and the grass is gone, the boy disappears, and rain keeps falling like helpless tears. And what have they done to the rain? Just a little breeze out of the sky, the leaves pat their hands as the breeze blows by. Just a little breeze with some smoke in its eyes. What have they done to the rain? Just a little boy standing in the rain, the gentle rain that falls for years, have they done to the rain?
Thank you very much. You have a very pleasant voice, very nice voice. And I can remember Ms. Reynolds. Of course, I was a toddler. Okay, Joshua Hart. Mr. Hart, you have a tough act to follow here. You can sing something else for that.
You wouldn't want to hear my voice.
Well, we've heard your voice quite often, actually.
It might come to that. Good morning, Commissioners. Joshua Hart, Director of StopSmartMeters.org. Addressing the Public Utilities Commission and the Federal Communications Commission in one day. I can't tell you what a pleasure this is.
You'll have to leave here quickly to get
For the record, we now have 37 cities and counties throughout the state of California who have formally opposed the smart meter program. Some of those representatives will be joining us this evening at the Federal Communications Commission, where a protest will be held this evening, 5:30 p.m. at the Computer History Museum in Mountain View. Just for the record, I want to let you know that our group and many others, citizen-based groups, are actually doing the public utilities job for them. There have been several instances over the past months where staff has referred ratepayer problems, including health problems, to us. And it's my understanding that the Environmental Defense Fund and other fake environmental organizations are receiving money from the Public Utilities Commission for consulting. And I'm just wondering if you could have your staff inform me where we send our invoice, because we've been doing a lot of work to help ratepayers in this state. Apparently, Governor Brown and this commission, of which he's appointed several members, thinks that everything's just fine and dandy with the smart meter program. So, carry on. If you think it's okay for people to be thrown out of their homes because of the smart meter radiation, carry on. If you think it's okay for elderly and vulnerable populations being threatened by utility representatives with a cold and dark house over the winter for refusing smart meter radiation, then just carry on. If PG&E covering up the recent smart meters that exploded and caught fire at the Santa Rosa Mall is just fine with you, given what happened in San Bruno, then carry on what you're doing. If PG&E advising customers to see their power by pressing their heads against smart meters in clear violation of the FCC's 20-centimeter rule, thereby risking their health dramatically, then carry on and don't do anything to censure them. If you think that using Wi-Fi as a means to suppress public comment in this room, suppressing people coming here who would otherwise speak to the Commission and participate in the public process, then carry on. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
PG&E wants extortion money. They want money to avoid headaches. Take their money. Have it.
We don't need that kind of demonstration in here. You're going to end up not being in any of these meetings, Mr. Hart, if you feel the need to, attack or beleaguer other people that are citizens. Maya Kane.
President of San Francisco since about 1964. You've seen me before. This is always a different story. Today I'm here to represent two large apartment buildings. One has 29 units and one has 24. The meters for those buildings are on a wall that are in a garage. People walk past all the time. You cannot get anywhere near a smart meter without feeling it. There are babies, there are everyone standing and talking with their neighbors next to these things. They have to walk by them to get their cars. This is absolutely insane to expose people to all this. And I know you've heard it from me before, but in fact this is something new. I found out last time I was here. The hybrid that they put in my building when they took out the smart meter is still putting off the EMFs. I cannot sleep. I cannot sleep without really strong sleeping pills. You guys, your job is to protect us, okay? Help us. Do your job.
Okay, thank you. Gerald Page.
Morning. I am here to speak to you about the goal and the reality. The goal is that the CPUC serves the public interest. The reality, not when Mr. Peevey prevents access to witnesses you should be hearing face to face. By protecting consumers, thousands of complaints say otherwise, and ensuring the provision of safe, Hinckley, Rancho Cordova, Tesoro, Smart Meters, San Bruno, Diablo Canyon, San Onofre, on and on. Reliable, which has been undone by years of deferred maintenance and CPUC compliance. Utility service with coerced acceptance and threats of remote shutoffs. And infrastructure at reasonable rates. Sure, if reasonable means escalating at corporate request, witness today's agenda. With a commitment to environmental enhancement and a healthy California economy, by denying consumers enjoyment of health and home in favor of profits and benefits to corporations. You regulate utility services, presumably, so you 5 can be a buffer between consumers and profit-oriented producers. You are to stimulate innovation and promote competitive markets where possible. Well, how about here? By not allowing major utilities, their marketers and suppliers to quash and throttle competition. Please honor your mandate by 1, moratoriums. We are tired of paying for utility miscalculations. 2, protect analog meters and landlines to serve opt-outs. Some of us have to have these things. Hold hearings to enable the education and R&D to ensure truly intelligent utility use and production.
Thank you.
You are the board, as this woman said, who is entrusted to protect us. We can't protect ourselves. PG&E is led by greed and very poor decisions. I'm here to very briefly say I'm adamantly opposed to the relicensing of Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant. It is on and near earthquake faults. Nuclear power is insane. There is still no solution long-term, 100,000 years, to the waste. I'm also opposed to smart meters. They are entirely based on greed. They will put people out of work. They are a health issue, and there's absolutely no benefit to the consumer. Thank you.
Good morning, and actually before I begin, I have to say I'm coming off a 2-day migraine, so I hope you can be patient with me and maybe have to give me a little more time because I can't talk as fast. Thank you. The smart meter is making us sick as dogs, and you're not even giving us table scraps. There is nothing about the opt-out program that helps any of us. Apparently your smart grid is more important than human life. Soon you will not be seeing me here at the CPUC. I am feeling sicker and sicker. I will be moving in 6 weeks when my smart meter is due to be installed. Just the thought of it gets me very emotional. I have lived in my house for 28 years. I have learned how much the CPUC was influenced by the Union of Concerned Scientists with their dire warnings of climate change due to carbon and fossil fuels. Unfortunately, they steered you wrong, just like they did with me. I gave money to this organization, and I pledged that my next car would be electric. Well, guess what? I test drove one, and I barely made it around the block. History repeats itself. This is the story of Oedipus, who was horrified by an oracle predicting he would kill his mother. RF radiation will kill this planet faster than carbon could dream of. I was informed you have never issued a stay. This must be the first time you do. The suffering and the grief from the smart meter will only increase with time. I want to end with a personal story. President Peevey, you went to UC at Berkeley. You must know the psychology building, the Tolman building. His brother, my great-uncle Richard Tolman, worked on the Manhattan Project, inventing the atomic bomb. He, Oppenheimer, and the other scientists did not want the bomb to be dropped. They only wanted it to be a deterrent. My uncle was very despondent and haunted by the suffering he inadvertently caused. He died of a stroke soon thereafter, and he was only 67 years old. I am not suggesting the smart meter is an atomic bomb, but the truth is that radiation poisoning occurs from both ionizing and non-ionizing radiation, and even at the levels that the FCC claim falsely are safe. The smart meter is lethal. It is the slow kill. It is a weapon of mass destruction. Who amongst you is going to be the brave one to step forward in your group here now and stop this insanity? Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy O'Hare, followed by Mary Beth Brandon.
Thank you for allowing me to speak this last time on smart meters. I used to write novels. Admittedly, I don't have the perverse imagination or talent of, say, Tom Wolfe, but I cannot dream up a story where an august and politically responsible body such as you five public servants comprise, ignoring the clearly stated, thoughtful objections to smart meters that cities and councils around California have given. As was mentioned earlier, 37, representing well over 2 million people. San Anselmo, Monterey, Lakeport, Humboldt County. It's a very long list. Elected representatives who collectively represent those over 2 million people. Excuse me. These people on balance are not calling for the sort of extortionate opt-out that PG&E proposes, but for a moratorium and a thoughtful, thoroughgoing, independent review. Leaving aside the thousands of individuals in other areas who've made complaints, these elected officials take seriously their duty to protect their constituents. PG&E has franchise agreements with cities and counties around California, but those agreements do not override the basic sacred responsibility of these elected officials to protect the health and safety and privacy of the citizens under their care. Please listen to those elected officials and their thoughtful, independent objections rather than the utility. And it's monopoly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mary Beth Brandon, to be followed by Rachel Johnson.
Good morning. I'm here to speak against the destructive denial of the harmful effects of both ionizing and non-ionizing radiation, from both so-called smart meters, with their high-frequency spikes from both electrical impulses from the switching mode power supply and nuclear power plants. Fukushima has brought us to a major crossroads for our species. We just spent time interviewing women from Russia, from Chernobyl. One of them was a so-called liquidator from Chernobyl who was tasked with cleanup there. And she told horrible stories, ghoulish stories of what the effects of the radiation were. We can't afford to have an accident in California. We have got to close our nuclear power plants, all 4 of them. It's not even necessary. The capacity that PG&E has, excess capacity, we don't need to risk the life and the DNA for 12,000 generations with this earthquake-sited nuclear power plant. It's absolute insanity. So please, we ask you to prevent the horrors of a nuclear disaster here. We must take protective stewardship and not have destructive denial. Please do close these California nuclear plants. Thank you.
Rachel Johnson, to be followed by William Sherman.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Rachel Johnson. I'm here to speak to you both as a parent and an educator. I'm deeply concerned about the legacy that we are leaving for the next generation. 30 years ago, I got arrested at the front gates of Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant, along with a few thousand other people. We said that it was dangerous to have a nuclear power plant on an earthquake fault, and that there was no plan for disposal of the nuclear waste that would be generated there. So now, 30 years later, the high-level waste is still sitting there in more and more crowded cooling pools, and even more earthquake faults have been detected. As we see now with the devastating situation in Japan at the Fukushima nuclear power plants, the unthinkable can happen. They said it couldn't happen here. Well, we know that it can happen. Such an accident in California would devastate our state and the food-growing capital of our whole country. PG&E's safety record with its gas pipelines and its smart meter program has been abysmal. So why should we have confidence that PG&E is being meticulously safe in operating a nuclear power plant? And no matter how careful they are, as we see, unthinkable events do happen. San Onofre is also on earthquake faults. Since your job is to protect the public, I ask you to withdraw all support from California's nuclear power program. Thank you.
Okay. Now we have a reasonably large number of people that have signed up what are called late arrivals. As I said at 9 a.m. at the start of the meeting, you had to sign up by 9. If you haven't signed up by 9, then the time given to you to speak will be reduced from, in this case, 2 minutes to 1 minute. But every one of you signed up until Mr. Sherman can speak. So I'm going to start out. Each person has 1 minute with Louise McTurnan. And I'd like you to all line up if you could. Carol Rouillet, Marty Keel, David Grace, David Hartsoe, and Angelo Festa. If you could line up in the order I gave behind Louise McTurnan, so that when she's done, Carol can speak, and then Marty can speak, and then David can speak.
Excuse me.
And I'll augment the list. Yes, ma'am.
I signed up online. Did that not get...
Well, what is your name?
Margaret Hall.
They're saying that even though the information was not available online, it doesn't count that you really signed up, and you have to sign in again, and your time is reduced.
Well, it worked.
Because a lot of us signed up way ahead of time.
We have a large number of people to speak. So when you speak to our public advisor about it, the system was not functioning, we'll give you an opportunity to speak.
So I should go talk to them up there?
Yeah, to Karen. Okay, let's start out with Louise McTurnan.
Thank you.
1 minute.
I read recently in my doctor's newsletter that 2 of the primary culprits fueling our cancer epidemic are wireless technologies and dirty electricity. After a cellular antenna was installed near a small village in the UK, hundreds of residents became ill with a wide range of health problems, from electrosensitivity to infertility and cancers. When the antenna was forcibly removed, the health problems subsided. In Italy, a prestigious cancer institute concluded that there was a significant connection between the EMF from the Vatican radio aerials and the abnormally high incidence nearby of childhood cancers. The Supreme Court of Italy ordered the Vatican radio to take down its aerials and to compensate the small town near Rome. In comparison to the cell phone, the smart meter is far more powerful, with a peak power density that is 4,200 times higher than the FCC exposure limit. When I look into your future, I see countless illnesses and deaths caused by your choice to deploy the smart meter. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol?
I wrote a book called The Invisible Nuclear War, the massive government cover-up, the continuing battle being waged by the nuclear powers against all life on Earth. And I realized that most people don't realize how bad Chernobyl was or how harmful the effects of low-level radiation is. And we see the same pattern of lies and cover-up about what's happening in Fukushima. And I strongly urge you to become more aware of the dire health consequences and the magnitude of the disaster in Japan and your responsibility to shut down nuclear power plants here in California while we can, before an accident of this magnitude occurs to California. As it is, I think the radiation coming from Japan is going to harm us. But we don't need to pursue these suicidal technologies, and I urge you very strongly as a concerned mother, human being, for the sake of Californians, the nation, the world, to do everything that you can to get us off of this suicidal technology. Thank you very much.
Marty Keel.
I'm Marty Keel. I'm a visiting scholar at UC Berkeley. Like a lot of people these days, I've developed an aversion to the word smart. The word smart is being used in very unsmart ways. So I'm here today to make a lexicological correction. Smart is not instituting a widespread technology without any proof that it is safe or effective. Smart is not building nuclear reactors on fault lines or building any nuclear reactors at all, given the high risks entailed in their use. Smart is not cutting corners by using inexpensive testing on gas lines that have faulty wells. And smart is not dismissing people's complaints about health, the health problems they are experiencing from smart meters, because they don't fit your understanding of the FCC guidelines. Rather, smart is practicing the precautionary principles with respect to any technology that can cause harm. Smart is listening to people's experiences, whether or not it fits the accepted paradigm. And because many people can't come to these meetings, I'd like to, because they are so disabled, for whatever reason, including smart meters, I'd just like to close with the words of a woman who was not able to be here today. She says, in December 4th, 2010, after the December 4th, 2010 installation of a smart meter in my apartment building, I had become a smart meter refugee. December 30th, I fled my apartment with severe symptoms and only the clothes on my back to Marin General Emergency Room. To date, I have exhausted the landlord, legal aid, fair housing, district attorney, Sacramento, trying to get an attorney, Marin Housing Authority, many, many doctors, Jared Huffman's supervisor's office, health department, environmental department, and still cannot get any help.
Thank you.
So Smart Meter is not telling this woman that her symptoms don't match the FCC guidelines. Please practice the precautionary principle. Call for a complete statewide moratorium on smart meters, not just an opt-out. Call for health studies, practice the precautionary principle, and restore the true meaning of the word smart.
Thank you. Thank you very much. David Grace.
Yes, I'm David Grace, San Francisco. I have called for two different studies from the Commission. The first regards TEPCO. With Fukushima, in the business pages just a couple of days ago, it's been noticed that 84% of their capitalization has disappeared. People have pulled their stock from TEPCO, and so they have lost 84% of their capitalization. In any of the PUC mandated oversight, this should be reviewed as a standard, whether or not pulling capitalization is going to harm the community. The second is, as I've been calling the PUC on another issue, it's been noticed that PG&E has been called organized crime by any number. I have three different members of the commission or their staff have talked about organized crime. So I'm calling on the PUC to look at organized crime and PG&E and whether or not their financial mismanagement can be deemed as organized crime, and then their organized crime has the bomb with a nuclear power plant. Thank you.
Followed by Angela Vesta. Then I'd like Ellen Augustine, Barbara George, and Jeffrey Mooney to Also, with the CPUC. Okay. David?
Good morning. My name is David Hartzow. I am representing peace workers, and I'm a father and grandfather. Fukushima has, as you know, is a devastating earthquake and tsunami, and we don't want to gamble with the future of our children and all future generations that something like that could happen in California. As you know, there are 2 active earthquake faults within 2.5 miles of that plant, and PG&E in the past has a poor record of really checking out the safety systems adequately. As you know, the spent nuclear fuel is stored at Diablo Canyon, and this is not only dangerous for all of us, but if there would be a terrorist bomb put on this, life for all of us in California and perhaps the United States would be destroyed. And it's not a choice of continuing this nuclear power plant or freezing in the dark. There are conservation, solar, and wind are all cost competitive and will produce even more jobs. And finally, I'd like to just share a story of an 8-year-old that testified at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission out of Livermore Labs. And he said, in our family, we have a rule. If you make a mess, you have to clean it up before making another mess. And that's what we're doing with the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant and all the spent fuel. I encourage you and I pray that you will refuse to renew the license for that plant. Thank you.
That's me. Good morning. Yesterday I sent an email to the president of KQED requesting that he revive a show that they aired in 1980. The name of the show was Paul Jacobs and the Nuclear Gang. And I think if all of you were to see that today, and what Paul Jacobs, being an investigative reporter, did was to show how deadly just a tiny little particle in the dust is to human health. And the way he did it was to sacrifice his own life. He didn't mean to do that, but by the end of the show, he documented his own death. His oncologist came on and said, yep, that's what did it. He got a particle in Utah where he was exploring the environment of small farms, government testing of nuclear weapons and so forth. I think if you saw that show, you'd have a different attitude about nuclear energy. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a sign of intelligence to admit that we made a mistake. Nuclear power might have seemed like a good idea, but that has long since passed. I look at Japan and I think, there but for the grace of God go we. We who have not had to suffer that horrifying fate, we've still got time to make another choice. Now, one of the elements in the nuclear fuel cycle is plutonium. 1/1,000,000th of a gram of plutonium. Should I stop?
Access. Yes, so it's an issue of access. This is I have special needs. I need a reasonable accommodation. I need a place to lie down.
Find you another room so you can lay
She
down.
wants to be. I want to be a part of the hearing. I can't believe you're doing this.
I want to
Is this because I raised my hand and asked about speaking?
distracted until you all came up here and stood around her.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, continue, Alan.
Plutonium is a part of the nuclear energy fuel cycle. 1/1,000,000th of a gram of plutonium inhaled into a lung can give a lung cancer. Plutonium has a half-life of 24,000 years, which means for 1/4,000,000 to 1/2 million years, we've got to keep this out of the environment. Nothing, no matter how smart a scientist is, no one has yet devised a way to detoxify or keep this out of the environment. We cannot endanger human health, the life of all beings, and the environment in this way. Nuclear power plants, even those like Diablo Canyon that are operating supposedly safely, regularly release into the air and water radiation. Over 9 years, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission
found over 400 accidents in our 100 nuclear reactors across the country. Let's be smart. Well, it seems like it costs a lot of money to shut down Diablo Canyon and San Onofre. The cost will be much greater should an accident happen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, Barbara George is next.
Yes, Barbara George just gave me her place because I have to go to a doctor.
Oh, okay, great.
We're going to switch.
That's fine. So what is your name?
My name is Lori Grace.
Okay.
And,
sure, go ahead.
I'm very concerned about the continuation of Diablo Nuclear Canyon and also the reactor there in San Onofre. Both of them are on faults. The recent discovery of the shoreline fault concerns me. I don't think it's really possible to fully estimate the effects of these faults. And also there is radiation, as other people have been saying, that is leaking at this time. I don't know if there's a seawall there, but in Japan, the level of the land dropped 3 feet, which enabled the water to go over the seawall with the tsunami. And I'm concerned about that. I played a major role in the creation of Marine Clean Energy. I was one of the 3 people who invested in this, and also against Prop 16. Part of what might, I'm just concerned about supporting CCAs that are developing. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you Jeffrey Lee? Okay, come on, Jeffrey, then we're Barbara George.
Hi, I think that there's a lot of information that people have here, and everyone wants an opportunity to share what they've learned. I would like to talk about a different subject. It's not about our awareness, it's about our will. I think everyone in this room is scared, and I think we're all trying to figure out the right thing to do. But I think that, there's however much studying we'll do, it's going to come to what's our decision, and I just like to invoke the experience of making a different decision when everyone else is thinking a certain way. I think there must be a lot of pressure for you as well. I'm sure you all have a little bit of fear with this recent headlines in Japan, and I just want to acknowledge the bravery of doing the right thing. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And now Ms. George.
Greetings, Commissioners. There's a difference between the radiation that you get from a nuclear bomb, which is what our standards are all based on, versus what happens when you eat or breathe radioactive particles over time. They sit inside your body and bombard the cells nearby. Dr. Chris Busby of the European Committee on Radiation Risk likens it to the difference between standing by a campfire and eating a hot coal. Big difference. I started working on energy issues in 1978 when I lived in New York City. I worked with the Shad Alliance, which was successful in shutting down the Shoreham nuclear power plant on Long Island. That power plant was shut because it's obviously impossible to evacuate Long Island. I cannot believe that Diablo Canyon and San Onofre were both licensed without a fully considered evacuation plan, without looking at the earthquake and tsunami risk. I also ask you today to support SB 790, which would protect CCAs against some of PG&E's extreme marketing. Marine Clean Energy has no nuclear power, 70% greenhouse gas free, 27.5% renewable energy.
Thank you. Thank you. Rebecca Sang.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm coming here today because I want to encourage this commission to do everything possible to immediately close Diablo Canyon and San Onofre. I know that Diablo Canyon is up for relicensing, and I am glad to hear that there's a lot of concern and people are saying, hey, maybe we won't relicense them. The problem is that if they're not relicensed, they're still going to be operating for another 15 years. And there could be any number of chances of earthquakes in the next 15 years. We absolutely cannot wait. We cannot wait 15 years to find out if that was a good idea or not. Germany has already closed down many of their nuclear power plants. They're doing the same in France. We could be the first state to start something really wonderful here, which is saying we are going to close down these reactors because they are not safe, especially the ones that are on faults, the way the ones in California are. I just want to close by saying that I recently found out that they have been doing a lot of studies after Chernobyl, and at first they were saying, oh, 50 people have died, 100 people have died. Now they're saying 95,000 people have died because of that reactor, and another 250,000 people have cancer. I do not want to see those kinds of rates in California. My own father died because of being exposed to radiation from Hanford and the water that was going over the Hanford site to cool the reactors there. And when I think about the fact that my children will never meet their grandfather, I think that, well, you know, those people didn't know any better. They didn't know what they were doing. But we know better, and we need to stop this today.
Hi, I'm here to voice my discontent with nuclear power and energy that's going on in California. I know a lot of this is about business and it's about making money. But the thing is that the long-term costs and health effects are really not worth the dollars that are being saved. It's not clean energy. Chernobyl is not clean, Japan is not clean, 3 Mile Island is not clean. And I know we like to think we're Americans, we can do it bigger and we can do it better. But before we're Americans, we're human beings and we make mistakes. Mistakes like building nuclear power plants on faults. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stan Sparrow. I appreciate you guys hearing us. I brought my Geiger counter. I've been an IBEW electrician for 33 years, and they're against unsafe nuclear facilities. All unsafe nuclear facilities. Diablo and those other unsafe ones on the fault line. There's 444 nuclear facilities in the whole world, being 50 of them in the US and 50 in Japan. Look what one did to us. Have you checked your milk and your water? The private Geiger counter studies are coming in 100 times over the EPA safe limit. 100 times by private. What's happened to our EPA reporting? We have to get it from people like UC Berkeley for testing now. And I worked with electricians who work on nuclear places. They are not reporting the accidents. And they're not telling us the truth. The media's kind of distorting the facts. Nuclear is not safe. And nuclear is costing $8,000 per kilowatt hour to construct. Solar is now under $4,000 per kilowatt hour to construct. And that if we went solar and rebuilt Diablo as a renewable and solar facility, it's doable.
Thank you.
It's the law! 33% renewables by law in California. Can you get that to me?
Give it to our executive director. Okay, is Elaine LeBrie here?
Why, she sure is.
Well, you're next.
Why, thank you.
You're here in front of Jan Lundberg and Jeff Fraser. Okay.
Hi. Hi. Hi, everybody. It's great you're here. So, people have, thank you. It's great you're here, too. People have provided knowledge and information, and that eloquent gentleman talked about will. And the other question is that it would be good to have a transparent, open understanding of is what exactly are your powers and your abilities in relationship to shutting down immediately all the nuclear power plants in California. My understanding is the NRC is in charge of safety and you're in charge of reliability for the public. Is that correct?
They certainly are in charge of safety.
And are you in charge of, and you're in charge of reliability?
I wouldn't put it quite that way, but anyhow.
How would you put it?
Well, I don't want to get into it because you're here.
That's an important part of the public process in accurately and effectively and meaningfully speaking to you, speaking to your exact responsibilities.
So go ahead, finish up.
So in terms of reliability, because the premise of establishing reliability is to ignore the things that do happen and say that they are things that never happen. I think you've been given ample opportunity and evidence and a way to move to say that the threats to the public and to the provision of power through nuclear energy are unreliable. And then you have all these horrific accidents to back that up. So I think in our understanding, within your purview and what you're mandated to do, you now have the ability and the power, the information, and we hope the will to immediately shut down all the nuclear reactors in California and start a plan to deal with the spent fuel rods. Because even when we shut them down, and even if we have an effective evacuation plan, which we don't, we have no plan to deal with the poison. Thank you.
Dan Lundberg, and Jeff Freitas, and Umi Agatani, Jesse Rader, Jason Johnson, Sean Jason, and Jason Almonte.
Good morning. I'm Jan Lundberg, formerly of Lundberg Survey, which you may have heard of, now of Culture Change. I formerly served on the San Francisco Peak Oil Preparedness Task Force. In my prior service to the oil industry and government agencies and then the nonprofit sector, I found that there was a big assumption at work that we need a vast abundance of energy, and that may be a big part of our problem today. So where do we stand? Big energy, such as the British Petroleum Macondo well disaster and the Fukushima disaster, this is part of a system out of control. The industrial mindset says that it's okay to mess with life on Earth. But it really isn't, and we're just starting to pay that price. I think that trying to keep the lid on the truth of nuclear power is going to be about as successful as keeping the lid on those reactor buildings in Fukushima. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Freitas.
Hello, I'm here to oppose the relicensing of Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant and ask that it be shut down immediately. Your own numbers, despite the PG&E rhetoric that we need nuclear power, show that California has a glut of electricity. We have 150% of our need in their upcoming long-term procurement plan, and eliminating the nuclear power plants would still leave us with 140% of the electricity we need. We don't need your nuclear power.
Yeah. Yes.
I ask that we shut it down immediately, and I would like to point out the NRC hearings that were leaked in 1984.
For Mr. Lane and about 8,000 for Mrs. Lane that was discussed at the hearing, and wondering what that 26,000 was about.
And that the staff had no basis for disavowing its reasoned discussion to consider the earthquakes on emergency planning. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, hello everybody. My name is Umi Haitani and I'm representing myself. I don't know how to speak to you, but I'm speaking here to demand shut down every reactors in the world and the nuclear use. And, I don't know if you can protect this. I don't know if you're the ones who are making decisions. Because nuclear, it never knows the borders. While we're so fixated to victimize Fukushima as the ground zero, or we talk about California milk, think about Hawaii or Philippines or formerly occupied and colonized places. We're having dumb shit. And you won't be able to protect this. You will calculate how much our lives cost. I have been calculating cost of my loved ones in Ibaraki, Japan, that it's not that far from Fukushima that has own reactors. It's not even ground zero, but say if Pier 39 was Fukushima, they live in Santa Cruz. And You know, they're farmers, disabled people, incarcerated people. Their lives are so cheap. Tell me how much I cost. Is my life, does my life cost? It's my student visa or what? BART money? If you can't answer that, please shut down, and shut down, like, we have to work together to end the violence. We shouldn't let our bodies or our government or our corporations or whatever to speak the violence. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Jessie Rader, thanks. I want to thank you for listening to us. I think, as you can tell, we're feeling very passionate about this issue of shutting down nuclear power plants on fault lines, as I'm sure everybody in California is interested right now. There's a number of us today who aren't going to get to speak because the rules have changed from the last meeting of what time you had to sign up and all of that. So I just was going to take this moment to talk to your staff about asking everyone who's here on this issue to please stand up. Just so that the commissioners can see that there's quite a number of people here, and this is why we're here, and we just wanted to, I know you have to get other business to get to, but actually, in some ways, we wish you'd shut down all other business until we can handle this problem. Because when you're talking about catastrophic events that have a small chance of happening, people tend to discount whether they can happen or not. And this is the moment when we know that they actually can and do happen. And the plants that are here in California are on fault lines. This is the moment when we could actually say, we as a society and you as leaders in our society could actually say, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to put safety first. We're going to put the people first. We're going to say, we're going to stop the craziness.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me. I just want to say I love this planet, and I love you all, my brothers and sisters. I just want to say, it's time to change. It's time to change. And in the great words of our beloved president of this nation, yes, we can. Yes, we can. And do we have the power and the capability? I say yes, we do. So let's stand together as one and really send a message and be the great nation that we are, and send a message to the rest of the world and the people. And let's save this planet, huh? Can we do that?
And California, in most ways, is seen as the leader for environmental protection in progressive politics. We can set an example for America, and America can, by extension, set an example for the world. And you, right now, are doing something great. And either that great thing is to do nothing, which will be scrutinized and will be chastised for eternity, because this nuclear waste and fuel rods and all these things are not going to go away. Or you can do something great by taking some action. Like the board of the San Luis Obispo Board of Supervisors has done and taken a step, united, written a letter recommending the San Diablo or Diablo Canyon reactor be shut down. You can take a step like that and actually do something great that's positive. Yes. That could be your legacy. And I would encourage you to do that.
Jason?
Thank you for taking this time. I want to first speak about something that's often left unsaid in the nuclear complex, is that of uranium mining and the indigenous people that are currently struck with genetic radiation mutation that goes generationally and continues to pass, and there's nothing that they can do or we could do about it. And this continues to pass in each generation, and we have no solution for this, and we have no healing for this. And when we continue to produce nuclear power, I just want us to remember in our hearts that the indigenous people of this country have suffered for our quest for energy. I'm here because I support shutting down Diablo Canyon and other nuclear power plants, and all nuclear. I support no longer taking uranium out of the ground because I think it was a mistake. And there's so many signs. There's so many signs that show that this is a mistake. And hopefully more signs won't have to come before we learn our lessons. And one more thing that I want to say is that I'm not anti-everything. I'm very much pro-renewables, and I'm very much pro of having energy autonomy within our communities and outside of energy corporations. They continue to take advantage of us and gouge prices like they did in 2000, and I don't think that they will hesitate to do that again. So please, hear our words, and thank you for taking time.
Thank you.
I'm Jackie Cabasso. I'm the Executive Director of the Western States Legal Foundation. We stand in solidarity with our many friends and allies in Japan during this extended period of unprecedented crisis. We grieve with the people of Japan and express our deepest sympathies for the tragic loss of life, habitat, and infrastructure they are continuing to suffer as a result of the triple disasters, earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear, that began on March 11th. Two of these disasters were uncontrollable acts of nature, but one of them, the multiple failures of the Fukushima nuclear power complex, is the result of a 100% preventable act of human hubris. The 9.0 earthquake and subsequent tsunami have left more than 12,000 dead and over 15,000 missing. As a result of the radiation releases from Fukushima, tens of thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes and to makeshift shelters. In all, hundreds of thousands of people are homeless as a result of the triple ecological and humanitarian crisis, and all of these numbers will keep growing. The potential for massive radiation releases from the reactors and spent fuel ponds at Fukushima will remain critical for weeks, acute for months, and dangerous to public health for years to come. This is a tragedy for the people of Japan and a wake-up call for the world. All nuclear reactors must be shut down, and I want to make a specific request that you, the California Public Utilities Commission, ask the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organization to provide the monitoring data they have been gathering, which they have so far only provided to the International Atomic Energy and the World Health Organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is, I guess it's morning. Yeah, my name is Don Eichelberger. I work with Avalon Alliance Safe Energy Clearinghouse, and among other things, been working to stop nuclear power passionately for over half my life now. So a minute doesn't seem like a whole lot of time to say what's on my mind and in my heart. I think I should focus on what's in my heart, because what's on people's mind doesn't seem to carry a lot of weight in the nuclear industry. We can talk rationality from day on, and we keep getting back, oh, the new generation are going to be safer, stronger, etc. Let's look at the trajectory. 3 Mile Island, considered a success by nuclear power proponents because it was stopped. It's been, in spite of Dr. Ernest Turnglass and others, to the contrary, they're saying there were no fatalities. Then Chernobyl happened. Oh, that was the Soviet Empire. That was a reactor that we don't have too many of operating in this country. That we can ignore that. Now we've got Fukushima, American-made nukes, sending radiation this way. We don't have a video cam like they had in the Gulf Coast to show us the radiation coming out 24 hours a day. But it's there. It's coming. I've got grandkids in Alaska. I've got grandkids in Hawaii. They're going to be facing some problems in 10 years, and this is only one. How much bigger is the next one going to be? We've got to, like you said, you've got a chance to make a historical decision, make a good one. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is June Brashears. I'm with the organization Global Exchange. We're an international human rights organization based here in California. And I'm here today to urge you to do everything you can to move promptly to close down Diablo Canyon and San Onofre nuclear plants. It's clear that those who have long argued against the siting of these nuclear plants in earthquake zones and have warned about the dangers, those people were right, and it's time to heed those warnings and do something about it. Some of the threats from having nuclear plants in operation in such earthquake zones near the ocean are now been made tragically clear to us. We know that beyond the high-stake risks that we're gambling with right now, beyond the risk of having a situation like they've had in Japan, there's also other impacts on humans and human rights violations associated with the operation of these nuclear power plants. from the mining of the uranium to the waste storage and the health impacts, to issues around transportation, as well as the huge vulnerabilities we have to terrorist acts. We're risking massive health impacts and human rights implications. And I just want to say, we know that PG&E has enough electrical capacity, that we don't need any delay. There's no excuse to delay in moving forward and closing down these plants.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ruth Elliott. You know, I grew up in the 1970s and 80s under the shadow of nuclear threat, and I'm very glad that I'm able to stand before you today, because as a child, I felt like I had no voice in that midst of that very large cloud that hung over us. Today, I stand in opposition to continuing to operate Diablo Canyon, San Onofre. Let's start the process now. Let's not renew relicensing. Let's shut it down immediately. Let's not have any nuclear reactors on faults. Let's take a cue from Germany, not a cue from Japan.
Yes.
Several other speakers: Lisa Morales, Benjamin Smith, Paradox Pollock, and Valerie Higgins. So, Lisa Morales.
Hello. Okay, I'm going to go very quickly. UC Berkeley has been detecting radiation in the rainwater, dairy, tap water, vegetables, in the grass, and even in the air we breathe. In other words, every single thing that is required for survival: food, water, land, and air. We now have the opportunity to put solar roofs on every single home in America and get rid of nuclear energy. As of March 23rd, Tokyo tap water tested at 210 becquerels of iodine-131. The U.S. EPA federal standard for drinking water is 0.12 becquerels. That was the amount that they said infants should not drink. The Chernobyl power plant director was asked how long before people can settle down and grow crops on this site. He said at least 20,000 years. Cesium-137 blowing on the wind made the area around Chernobyl site equivalent to half the size of New Jersey from being inhabitable, even today. Japanese reporter went into Fukushima plant. He said the scariest thing, he got within 3 kilometers. He said the scariest thing was I felt nothing. He goes, I could not detect it on my skin. My skin was not burning. I did not feel bad. I would like to respond to his statement. The reason he did not feel bad is because we have not evolved to respond to ionizing radiation passing through our body. Essentially, we have no sense, no taste, no sight, no sound.
Thank you.
One last thing. The question I ask this board and everyone here is, who am I to possibly make any part of this earth uninhabitable for 20,000 years? Last thing. One last thing. Only after the last tree has been cut down, only after the last river has been poisoned, only after the last fish has been caught, only then will you find that money cannot be eaten. Cree Indian prophecy. Thank you.
Benjamin Smith?
Yes. Hi, my name is Benjamin Smith. I represent Greenpeace. I'm the national organizer for the Greenpeace Activist Network. And I wanted to speak from someone else's voice, an activist who hosted a Stand With Japan vigil like we had on City Hall steps here in San Francisco that I was proud to see. Olga Horolskaya wrote this to us. Hi Anna, I wish that people had learned from their mistakes and Chernobyl had never happened again. Been born in Belarus, I was only 8 years when Chernobyl happened. Luckily my family lived in Minsk. At that moment government didn't tell the truth. Children were playing under iodine isotope rain. Lately we learned clouds were fired to make rain as the wind blew to Moscow. Now my parents have diabetes too due to thyroid. My sister is on the endocrinology control. Her child has hole in the heart. Mine had the same problem until we moved to Canada where it was healed in 6 months. I am not talking about weak blood vessels and pregnancy problems and much more. Please know my family is healthy. Even now they don't tell the truth, hiding facts. I am sending my biggest condolence to simple Japanese people, as I know what they are passing through. I light a candle and wish them bravery. We truly care and want to show that this nuclear catastrophe is a global disaster, not just one nation tragedy. Yes. Sincerely, Olga. I'd just like to make one last quick comment that we've seen San Bruno, we know Prop 23, we know that there are very nice people who work for PG&E, and I know you're very good people, and so I'm asking you sincerely, from my heart and so many of us, we don't have to trust PG&E when they get together and make decisions about energy and money and how our lives work. We're not doctors, we're not going to treat the patients when a nuclear accident happens. So let's make a leadership decision now that our children can be proud of. Thank you.
What do we have here? Paradox? Are you Paradox?
And I want to introduce my friend Boli and her little brother Surya and her mom Micah. Right here, and Boli has a message for you.
Hi.
We want
to... your age first.
Okay. I'm Boli, I'm 7 years old, and I have a little message. We want the children in the world to have a future living in a healthy world and have a good environment.
All right.
Yeah. So I wanted to represent the children, the 7 generations, and truly the 7,000 generations in the future who could be affected by nuclear power and any potential accidents. I'm against nuclear power altogether, but I think the first step is defunding and delicensing the plants that are on fault lines. Not waiting for, I know it takes a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of paperwork normally for you guys to do things, but we're asking from the bottom of our hearts as concerned citizens, if you can please find a way to cut through that and get to this really soon, because we don't want something like Japan happening here. How I understand it, you all control the budgeting for Diablo Canyon, you don't control the relicensing. That's the NRC. But if you have any hand, if there's any letter you can write to someone, if there's any way that you can not let the budget pass to cut off the funding for Diablo Canyon, not when it comes in 2014, please now. We're all asking you, for the children of this world, please do everything you can. You will be remembered by your actions. Thank you for representing us.
Hello, my name is Valerie, and I'd just like you all to look at me and really hear me when I say that there's even younger generations than me, but as a member of the younger generation, if you could please all look at me. As a member of the younger generation, I'd like to say that I am tired of the people that I am supposed to be looking up to, making selfish decisions that jeopardize the life of everything on this planet. It saddens me to the core of my being that we as humans are both actively and passively creating a world that is toxic for life.
Pay attention, please.
I would like everyone that's in support of this issue to stand up. It's time for California to be as innovative as it claims and start the transition away from suicidal technologies such as nuclear energy and towards a future that fosters both sustainability and empathy. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank all of you for coming and sharing your thoughts and concerns with us. There are 39 people that spoke this morning, and I think we listened to all carefully to each of you. We now, that wraps up the public portion of our meeting. We now turn to our consent agenda.